Sunday, the 7th of March, 2021, and this is the second recording of today. Mark, we're going to talk today about basically how the people should be approaching and addressing. But let's start first of all, obviously, with the situation at Holyrood yesterday. Let's put up the video and have a little chat about how the police interacted, for want of a better word, with the general public. Just before we start on that, two comments touching back on the video we did earlier. When obviously we talk about Magna Carta Article 61, we will include a conversation about the straw man, maritime law, Declaration of Arbroath, Bill of Rights, etc. So I'm looking forward to that video. You mentioned in that video earlier that we just produced about why is the legal system not actually standing up to the unlawfulness that's going on. It's exactly the same within my industry, isn't it? In the health industry, is there are some people standing up. We're standing up. We're working with people. Dolores Carhill and her friends are standing up. There's people around the world, Dr. Buttar, standing up. Where are all the mainstream general practitioners? What are they doing? Where is all the hospitals standing up to all of this? They're not. But we'll come on to Nuremberg Part 2 in a separate trial, no doubt. So,
but basically, this is with this notice, we're going to be forcing them to stand up.
Absolutely.
All of these people that just sit by and watch stuff.
Sure.
And worst case, we've got records for Nuremberg 2. It'll come.
Yeah.
This will not last.
Mark, the reason, obviously, as you know, the end game here is that people feel confident to go out and to make their own stand. We've had to do these rather lengthy videos for people to understand what they are standing up for and to. So today's video now is, we know people are concerned about schools, hospitals, the way that their councils are operating, the way that supermarkets are operating, the way that the police are operating. But we thought that let's start there. The reason why we're going to use Holyrood as an example is that yesterday at the peaceful gathering, there was already quite a large police presence. If you and I were there, then you and I would have approached the police even ahead of the event. However, arrests were made. And rather interestingly, there's been a few short clips put up regarding the events of yesterday. So what we thought we would do is we will share the screen and have a little look at what went on. And it's amazing, isn't it? Is that if people knew exactly what to say, because quite clearly all the law enforcement officers got everything wrong. The questions that they put, the way that they were treating people, the way that they manhandled people, it's all wrong. So we're going to start today's videos then with protests, for want of a better word. They're not protests. You are just standing up there. You're being accused of being a protester, which actually is within your rights anyway. Should you wish to actually stand in front of a parliament building and express your thoughts and concerns and gather with people. But as you know, the police are saying that under the Coronavirus Act of 2020, some more actors, that you can't do that. Well, you can. So I'm going to let you take control of the meeting now then, Mark, and then you can put on the... you can tell people what we're going to do and how we're going to do this, and we'll use the video as a tool to work with. Okay.
Basically, in the notice of liability, there's Schedule 2. Okay. And at point 27, it talks about reasonable grounds to breach another's peace. And there are only 2 reasons you can breach somebody else's peace. If there's not a contractual agreement. And the first one is, has anybody been harmed? If there's no victim, there's no harm. And the second one is, does somebody intend to cause harm? And that can be through assault, affray, riot, assembly, any disturbance. And then further down at 28, I'll talk about discrimination. So one of the things is discrimination. We talked about the actual lawfulness of this when we discussed are acts of parliament actually law or not. Then there's so the first thing which is obvious, okay, there's the mask wearers that are going out and the people that are staying at home and doing, you know, whatever they're told. So the protesters are automatically being discriminated against because it's unlawful what they're trying to implement. You can assemble where you like anyway, unless it's rational, unless it's reasonable what they're asking you to comply with. So automatically everybody there is being discriminated against. So that's the first thing that we can bring up. Then once you've told them that it's they actually the ones that are acting unlawful, then they actually are now harassing you and stalking you. And because they're actually with the knowledge that, like I said yesterday, by not giving you their names, by not confirming they're acting under their oaths, they've given you very reasonable grounds to believe that they know they're acting unlawfully, and that's fraud. So those are in points 28, 29, and 30. But I want to bring up another one here now, is tampering with evidence, which is point 31. Basically, your phones, any recording equipment you have, that is your evidence. And they have no lawful right to take away that evidence. Because before they breach your peace, they should have all the evidence they need. So that there actually is another thing that people need to start standing up for and saying, sorry, mate, this is my evidence. If you want to tamper with this, you're going to be paying the price for it.
Just before we actually play this video, Mark, two comments there that I'd like to add to it. Everything about COVID-19 has been based upon fear, making people afraid of the virus, making people lock themselves down, wear a mask. I think that is one of the problems. I mean, I know that in the very early days of the gatherings at Holyrood, there were mass gatherings. And the problem is that the majority of people who wish to come out and attend those gatherings are not, because they're fearful of the of the presence of the law enforcers. And rather interestingly, I'd like to think that by the end of this series of videos, we get to a point where we can get such confidence with people that when we watch this video, the only people that should be arrested are the police themselves. And we actually have the power to do that. But anyway, over to you, Mark. Let's get the video rolling and let's have a look at what went on.
Okay, and in respect like that, what you've just pointed out, if the police were there in advance, you can go and give them the notice in advance of a gathering. And so that would be a proactive way of using the notice of liability. And
but believe it or not, on the we know about today's modern technology. I mean, I'm surprised that we've got away with most of these Zoom meetings without being any hiccups. One particular lady, as you know Kimberly yesterday had every intentions of serving the police, and at the last minute, her printer malfunctioned.
Oh, that's life.
So she wasn't able to print off the paperwork. But I know she was disappointed because she was actually in a position yesterday where she wished to do that. But hey, yeah, there's plenty more opportunities.
Oh, there will be, absolutely. Okay, so what I want to do is share the screen. We'll play. I'll play, like 10-second clips, and then if we just have a discussion of anything that's in particular, probably best if you write down, if I just point out, and then we can discuss those particular points. So I'll just share the screen now, and then we can start watching it. Is it there, Glenn?
Yeah, it's come up, Mark. Just so that the viewers know, this is a very short video. It's only around about 1.5 minutes. But the video actually shows a number of things. It shows people being manhandled, as you can see the lady there. And then we'll see how the police officer talks to members of general public and pick them up accordingly. So yeah, over to you, Mark.
Okay, so before I start playing, okay, you mentioned that there were a lot of police there. So as far as breach of peace goes, okay, they are actually threatening and intimidating and generating fear. And as you quite rightly pointed out, they do this to try and stop people expressing their God-given rights.
Yeah, just to bring this down to obviously real world. Then what happened yesterday was there was an organised meeting at Holyrood, and the people obviously who got there quite early, some people were there for around about 12:15, made a post saying that there is already quite a heavy police presence. So I'm guessing that there would have been possibly at least maybe 12 police officers and a couple of police vans. Now, obviously their justification of that is that we are aware, because no doubt they're watching people's posts on various forums, to say we are aware that you have organised a gathering. Clearly there was an organised gathering. The problem, as you know, is that when people go to the event, they say, no, I'm not the organiser. But there are organisations that's arranging, and rightfully so, to meet people in a peaceful gathering. So the police were aware of that, and there was quite a heavy police presence before people arrived.
Yeah. So just looking at this picture without even playing yet, okay. There's two police on one lady, okay? Now, there's something, they can only use reasonable force once they suspect, because there's no harmed party here, okay, that that woman is intending to breach the peace. So that lady can put in false arrest, false detention, and that, because that level of force is totally disproportionate, especially considering what you'll see is she's actually been handcuffed. Now, to avoid that, if you hold your hands up and you say, yep, okay, I'll follow what you say, they cannot lay a finger on you. And if they do, then you can also do them for, I think it's ABH or whatever it is. So let's just quickly watch this. There's not much to hear yet.
No, and just to point out as well, as you'll notice, that there is nobody else there that's actually getting involved. So none of the other people of the gathering have got involved whatsoever. These other people are just people out for their normal daily walk. They're not even part of the gathering. So and you've now got
problem we've got then.
So you now have 3 police officers on one lady.
And you can see she's got the handcuffs now. Now watch what happens, because...
What's your purpose of being here today? Enjoying the sunshine. Ideal. What's your home address, sir? Sorry?
Okay, so if we just stop there, all right. First thing is, this officer doesn't need to get in your face. If anybody is approaching you like that, you just ask them, stay away. There's no need for you to come this close. You're threatening and intimidating them. Because what they do is they come in with this, oh, I'm authority, and they use this as intimidation, especially with smaller people. If you're 6'6" and 6 inches bigger than him, he'd behave very differently. So he's abusing his position here of authority, and he's threatening and intimidating. When somebody walks up like that, that's very threatening and intimidating. Other point is, he's approaching you, and he should introduce himself. Just because he's dressed up in a fancy uniform, back to acting, okay? The law is about people, it's not. We are all equal under the law, nobody's above the law, and that's the way we should be treating one another. So he asked him, what's your name? Okay, and the response should be, I'm under no obligation to give it to me unless you provide me a reason. But it continues like this.
Now, just before you start this, Mark, is that he actually didn't ask for his name. He actually asked him for his address.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, I might have misheard that. Sorry. Yeah. I'll just play it again.
Shine. Ideal. What's your home address, sir? Sorry? What's your home address, sir? I don't have to tell you that. How do you, sir? What's your purpose of being here today? Enjoying the sunshine. Ideal. What's your home address, sir?
Okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right. He asked him for his address, not even for his name.
He asked him, first of all, what are you doing here? He said, excuse me, what are you doing here? And then he asked him for his address. He didn't ask for his name, but he's also questioning, why are you walking in a public place?
Absolutely. And the guy answered very rightly, enjoying the sunshine. That's his lawful right. So asking for his address, totally, before he asked for the address or a name, they must have reasonable cause and a belief that if there's no harmed person, they must have the reasonable belief that you intend to breach the peace.
And as you know, Mark, the reason why they're asking that is that this particular police officer believes that under the Coronavirus Act 2020, that
we'll get onto that, absolutely.
Yeah, you should not be exercising or enjoying yourself outside of a 5-mile radius, which, as we know, is also bullshit. Yeah.
So basically, what I'm doing here, enjoying the sunshine. The next interaction about what's your address, it's quite simple. Do you believe I'm intending to cause anybody harm? Have I harmed anybody, or do you believe I'm intending to cause somebody harm? If not, sorry, mate, bugger off. So the closeness that they approach you at and the way that they interact is very, very offensive. So they causing you distress. Let them know. Step back. You're causing me distress with your aggressive behavior. Okay, so let's just carry on then.
Sorry, what's your home address, sir? I'd have to tell you that. Okay, sir, you're well aware of the coronavirus legislation that's in force. And it's a stay-at-home message. A stay-at-home? Yes. So you're going to be required very shortly to provide me your details. Failure to provide the details.
Okay, so like you said there, he brought up the Coronavirus Act. So you automatically just turn around and say, it's an act of parliament. It has no force of law. Please provide me the binding precedents that I am obliged to stay at home. And I also want you to prove, because you are claiming to have the authority for me to have to go home. So you need to prove now your claim, and that's what this notice of liability is about. He's made the claim that the other chap has to stay at home. The other chap is innocent until proven guilty. Therefore, this guy believes he has a right of enforcement under the Coronavirus Act. So
of which, as you probably notice, I'm only fine-tuning this down because obviously the police themselves continue to change their words. He did actually say, "Are you aware of the coronavirus legislation?" Correct. A legislation. It's not even. He never even mentioned the act. He said it's a legislation.
No, I think they did use the word the Coronavirus Act. Let me just. I'm sure you did.
Message. Stay at home. Yes. Sir, I'd have to tell you that. Okay, sir, you're what's your purpose of being here today? Enjoying the sunshine. Ideal. What's your home address, sir? Sorry? What's your home address, sir? I'd have to tell you that. Okay, sir, you're well aware of the coronavirus legislation that's in force.
Okay, legislation.
And it's about message. Stay at home, yes.
Yeah. Okay, but remember yesterday when I took you through what's legislation, okay? So it could be primary legislation which comes from Parliament, or secondary legislation which is derived its authority from Parliament. But in either case, it doesn't matter because like we went through yesterday, there's lots of reasons why the legislation does not have the force of law. So quite simply, it's like this officer must prove his right that he's claimed to enforce that piece of legislation, whatever he's standing on. And you are innocent until proven guilty. And so you simply explain to him with the simple words so that he starts to understand legislation. You want a binding precedence? What's that? Okay. So you're moving them then by, if they come up with legislation, same thing applies to shops, schools, anything, work. if they start quoting anything legislation, anything legal, it does not mean it's lawful. And you turn it all around then by removing their part of their authority. Remember I said, get them to step back. That removes already some power that is being challenged now. And if you don't challenge them, then you have no standing. And it's the same in the courts. So step back. There's no need for you to be so close. I can hear you from 2 meters away. You're threatening and intimidating. You mentioned coronavirus legislation. Are you aware legislation is not law? I require you to prove your claim of having the right to enforce and your belief that I'm obliged to comply with your command. Use the word command, because that, again, use the words against them. Because then all of a sudden it's like, oh, do you think I'm God or something? I'm only a policeman. Okay. So, and then ask, please provide me with the binding precedents to affirm your claim that what you are saying is lawful. So again, these are just little ways that you can turn it around, and each time you're removing a little bit of their authority at each time.
So you're going to be required very shortly to provide me your details, failure, provide the details.
Why are you asking me and not everybody else?
I'm asking you. I can't ask everybody else. I'm asking you. Because you're filming me. You've drew attention to yourself.
I'm filming the lassie.
Yeah,
Castle.
yeah. So I'm going to speak to you.
You walked into the shot, he was filming them.
Yeah, I can do that though.
Well, we can film as well.
Oh no, they'll see they can't. I've never once seen they can't.
He's trying to get my address.
Then you get involved, you're obstructing me, you'll be arrested. Like, carry your walk.
Now that's nice to see somebody coming to their assistance. Remember, we're all under a duty to uphold the peace as well, and we have a right of enforcement. So much like you did when you were there in your previous video, you saw somebody being harassed and you interfered.
I'll arrest you for obstructing me. I've just explained that to you. You talk to it. What you can't be me for? You're talking to me. I'm on my way. I'm just back.
Yeah, okay, so it ends there.
Now, the actual policeman just said to the member of public, the reason I've approached you is that you're obstructing me. Obstructing him from what?
I didn't get that, but the speaker was in front, so I didn't really hear. Yeah, no, and so like you see there's many things that we can do which really start to undermine their authority. I have no problem if they behave themselves lawfully. I do have a problem, okay, just like Matt Hancock and Boris Johnson giving their mates contracts at the public's expense. And the courts ruled that that's unlawful. And just like the courts on the Attorney General is not, he should be straight on it. As soon as the court rules that the minister, you know, these are our leaders, these are our role models, these are our examples, straight away, the court should be informing the Attorney General of the unlawful behavior and getting the Crown Prosecution Service involved to bring a case. But it was nice there to see the chap coming in, and you can see how that eased the situation a bit by certainly spreading the authority. Now he had to deal with 2 people. So there's a huge amount that we can do, and it doesn't put you in danger. And so probably it's a good idea to analyze a few of these like this. And this is exactly what the notice covers, all of this sort of stuff.
Mark, on that note, because I know that obviously in addition to peaceful gatherings, many people are now ready, willing, and hopefully now able. And we're going to be doing a training session this afternoon where people can ask their open questions about the work that they intend to do to start proactively serving the cease and desist papers. I don't think we need to cover that today. I think that the great thing about the work that you've done over the course of the last couple of weeks on making sure that there is one document which can quite simply be altered to suit serving a school, a supermarket, a police station. So I think we're going to cover that. We're going to cover that obviously in the training session this afternoon anyway, when people say, right, I've got the paperwork and my decision is I'm going to go and serve my local GP or my local hospital. Absolutely. The paperwork accommodates for all of that.
Yeah. And this is the whole thing. The paperwork is now very, well, as simple as I can get it. I've tried to keep it into one document. Yes, it's still 30 pages or 27 pages. However, within that document, there's one schedule which is about the law. And that there's only, let me just see how many pages, it's less than 10 pages.
Yeah. And
so this is the foundation to it. This is basically all you need to know. It says 15, it's 12 pages long.
Yeah, good.
And in this video, we've covered basically 1.5 pages of it.
Absolutely.
In the previous video that we did earlier today, we covered another 1.5 pages. So all of what we're talking about is in here. And the links in the document, so you can verify all of this yourself.
Excellent. Mark, let me suggest that we wrap this video up for today then. Obviously, as you know, further to obviously I've done 2 videos, particularly at this moment in time, as you say, the one where I actually myself intervened, and then the second one where I proactively served a supermarket. Just to let people know is
those as well, Glenn.
Yeah, well, just to let people know, I will be serving all of the other people on that list. So I will go and serve a school, a GP, a local council, a hospital, a police station. I will personally go on and record the serving of each of those as well, so that we can actually upload those. But it'll be great to see other people if they can go out and record themselves. There was one question that was put to me again, Mark. If you are using a recorder, whether it's a body cam or a telephone, do you actually need 2 witnesses? Because isn't the recording itself satisfactory?
Well, I don't actually know the legalities of it now. Basically, the 2 witnesses are really historical. Equitably, I see absolutely no reason. However, the problem is videos can be edited, and therefore it becomes questionable as to whether that would become admissible evidence. And with the computer programs that are available today, you know, people could be, what I'm saying, people can just put in different words and my mouth will operate in the same way as if I'm saying something totally different.
Absolutely.
So I certainly don't think that
I think you've answered the question. I think that it's useful to have 2 physical witnesses present there with you. Yeah. Mark, is there anything you want to add? But let's close this video otherwise, and then I'll see you on the next one.
No, I mean, that's great, and I do think we should talk through some more videos to see, because there's so much we can do proactively at protests, including if you know that, and it's not even a protest, okay? It's a lawful gathering. It's unlawful that their actions. However, proactively, we can start serving the police stations. We can start serving the chief constables. And then when we come to a site like this, we can have a batch of 10 of them. And we do exactly the same thing that they do. They wait and pick out the weak ones, the ones they believe are easy targets. So once your confidence builds up, you'll be able to spot the easy targets on their side. And once you start serving paperwork like you saw at Morrison's, okay, people are shit scared of paperwork. The power of the pen is mightier than the sword.
On that note, I'll catch you later today, Mark. Thanks ever so much for your time.
Okay, good.
And just to let people know, we will be serving Morrison's with the second notice tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay.
Catch you later. Bye.